I'm Donna Rice Hughes, President of Enough is Enough. Welcome to Internet Safety 101, a three-part series reformatted for PBS from Enough is Enough's Internet Safety 101 educational film series. It is designed to educate, equip, and empower you to keep your children safe on the Internet. In this second episode, you'll see how sexual predators cleverly utilize the Internet to target and groom vulnerable children, and how kids can naively put themselves at risk. You'll hear from a convicted sex offender, a survivor of an Internet abduction, and law enforcement officials. Later in the show, you'll learn how to protect your children from pornography, predators, cyberbullies, cybersecurity risks, and other dangers. You'll also learn how to keep them safe on social networking sites, online gaming sites, and mobile devices. We'll teach you our rules and tools guidelines to protect your children on all their digital devices so they can enjoy a rewarding Internet experience.
Parents should be concerned, very concerned, because gone are the days are the guys standing around the school in a trench coat looking kind of strange. The individuals that we're coming in contact with are your normal, everyday, average-looking people, so there's no characteristics of a child predator.
Predators are in all professions. Unfortunately, we have seen doctors, lawyers, law enforcement, clergy, members of the medical profession. There's really no common trait, and it's very often shocking to see the types of people that would be interested in sexual activities with children. In fact, many of them are drawn to those particular professions which will give them access to children. Certain predators are interested in very young children, some are interested in teenagers, and others are interested in those immediately before they reach adulthood.
You have people who distribute and then they offend against their own children. And then you have people who the only gratification they get is from violently abusing children or individuals purely for monetary gain will basically perform or create child pornography on demand. Someone will say, I want to see such and such age child performing this sexual act either with an adult or a child, and they will basically give made-to-order child pornography.
I would say that the image that is typically portrayed is not the image of most predators. No one pointed at me on the street prior to this and said, that's a child predator. I was convicted of possession of child pornography and forcible sodomy and was given a sentence of 45 years. I don't think there's anything that could have been done to stop me from getting online.
There's definitely research to indicate that child pornography fuels the desire and fuels the fire in someone who is interested sexually in children to go ahead and act on that.
I didn't, use any pornography for myself until I got the Internet. Initially it was heterosexual, mild pornography, and then there comes a point where that is just not, doesn't satisfy anymore. So I started to look at child pornography. In a 3-hour period of time, if I spent online, I would probably talk to 25 children. It would be my goal to find out what type of person it is that they were looking to speak to. So if it was a 13 or 14-year-old boy who was interested in speaking to a 13 or 14-year-old female, then I would be that female. There are millions of pictures online that you can download and send as far as this is who I am. And certainly a majority of the time that I spoke to children, they would have issues that they would share with me that were personal issues. I absolutely believe that the kids who I talked to, especially the ones that I spoke to most frequently, the ones that I interacted with, saw me as a friend. I'm certain that they trusted me. I'm certain that they liked me.
In the online world, predators use the same tactic, and it's what we call grooming, or law enforcement calls grooming. They build a relationship. They try to understand what they care about. They give them compliments. Sometimes they'll even send presents or say nice things. And eventually, a teen will start having feelings for a predator. And it's at that point where the danger begins.
The grooming behavior that we have seen can take months, or it can take a very short amount of time depending on the offender.
And little by little, the conversation will turn off into a very sexual nature, and they'll start to talk to the child about what their interests are, and they'll try to find out what the child's interests are. And often they will get the child to say things that the child couldn't even imagine talking about. And sometimes children will talk about things that they don't even know what they mean, because they're clearly very adult sexual conversations.
They are inundated with sexual images and sexual conversation that allow them to very freely participate in those types of conversations and activities. Typically, I would just start by asking for a regular picture, and then if it got to that level, I would eventually ask for a picture of more of a sexual nature.
Grooming is really easy to understand once you give thought to it. Everybody wants to feel love. And these people online are willing to make you feel that way. And you know, it never occurs to you that the person that you're talking to may be a monster. And they do it in the most subtle ways. You know, you get in a fight with a friend. Your friend called you that? Oh my gosh, why would your friend ever call you that? That's not a friend. I'm your real friend. I would never say anything like that. And they pull you away from everything around you, you know, all your friends and your family and your teachers. And as you're getting pulled away, you're getting closer to him.
One of the devices that these predators use in the interactions with kids is sending them explicit photos of themselves. What they're trying to do is sort of deaden the nerve endings. They're trying to beat down the resistance. It's part of the grooming process to normalize what they're trying to do, and it's pretty insidious.
Many children don't necessarily understand the risks of talking with adults online. It's very hard for a child to comprehend that an adult would want to hurt them and would want to engage in such bizarre activities. Many children think that they can handle it, that they can deal with this type of activity.
It's pretty much an online hookup. You kind of paint images with your words when you talk to them, and you'll send videos and pictures, and you don't know them at all, and it's kind of like an online relationship with somebody you don't even know, and it's very sexual.
Most of the children that we see engaging in activities of a very sexually explicit nature on the internet generally begin at about 12. Between 12 and 14 is probably the largest segment that we see where children are being enticed to engage in sexual activity online.
Kids were very, very willing to send pictures of a sexual nature. It did not take a lot of convincing to get that type of picture.
There's also a rise among teens of creating child pornography, with their cell phones and with camcorders of acts that they're doing with their boyfriends and girlfriends, and then that stuff is getting posted out there on the internet, and the children are getting exploited, sometimes by their peers.
My name is Alicia Kozakevich, and when I was 13 years old, I was abducted by an internet predator.
In 2002, I was totally clueless as to the dangers of the internet. My daughter was sitting in a common room talking to a box. Mm-hmm. You know, to my mind, that's what she was doing. All of the knowledge of the world is able to be gotten now through the internet.
Alicia had been engaging in online discussions with Scott Tyree, who was then a 40-year-old computer programmer from Herndon, Virginia. He was interested in sadomasochistic activity. He wanted to be a master for teen slave girls. He was looking for a child to make his sex slave. And Alicia was just starting to use the computer at that time and starting to use the internet and to engage in discussions of a sexually curious nature. And she talked with him about some of these activities, which I'm convinced she had no idea what he was talking about.
And then on New Year's Day of 2002, we were having a family dinner. And between dinner and dessert, as I was clearing the table, Alicia went up to her room. And we called her down for dessert, and she was gone.
I trusted him wholeheartedly. He was a friend, no matter what. He was my best friend and confidant. Tell him anything. He had the answer for any question. I remember opening the door and feeling the wind bite my face, and being at the top of the hill and hiding behind a tree. And when I said, you know what, why am I here? You know, my senses came back for a moment, why am I here? And I went to turn around and he called my name.
So when he brought Alicia to his home, he immediately abused her and then videotaped that abuse. And he broadcast this to his friends, to his network. And it was one of those individuals who saw this activity that reported it to law enforcement.
Well, he held me captive by a chain to my neck and a locked collar for 4 days. And he had a dungeon in the basement. And I mean, let your worst nightmares come to your mind, and that's what happened. You know. I was beaten and raped and tortured and treated like an animal. The rescue now. That morning, before he left for work, he said, what did he say? He said, I'm starting to like you too much. So we're gonna go for a ride tonight. At which point I knew that it was do or die.
At the time the FBI entered Tyree's residence, Alicia was chained to the floor in his bedroom. She had a locked collar around her neck, and she was wearing just her panties. And the FBI immediately gave her a jacket, and she was very frightened.
They came in and busted down the door, and I was relieved, extremely relieved, once I saw those 3 letters, FBI, on the back of their jackets in bold yellow letters. I mean, that's not a feeling you can describe. It's being at the end of the rope, feeling like you're about to die, and then somebody saying, oh, no, you get a second chance at life, here you go. And I feel that I was rescued for a reason. And that reason is to save kids from the same thing happening to them, to show them that it can happen to them, that this is real, this isn't a horror story, a movie. This is real, these people exist.
Now let's start with the rules, which are the non-technical measures for you, the parent, to implement. First, establish an ongoing dialogue with your children. Statistics prove that teens whose parents talk to them a lot about online safety are much more cautious when using the internet.
Talk to your teen about what they do online. And you'll be surprised how much they'll have fun sharing with you. They'll have fun because they get to teach you something. They're going to teach you how to drive. And that's a great thing for teens to be doing. It's an online safety dialogue that's happening. And during this conversation, that's when you can bring up, hey, are you comfortable putting an image like that up in front of the school assembly? And you'll see a pause in their eyes because they'll think about it.
Parents need to maintain very clear, consistent communication with a child, really whether the child wants it or not. And I think a child needs to feel safe in talking to their parent, and I think many parents fall short on making a child understand that they can come to them with any type of problem.
Keep the computer in a public area of your home where you can easily supervise its use. But also remember to supervise all other Internet-enabled devices, including cell phones, MP3 players, gaming devices, PDAs, and laptops. It is essential to know what your kids are doing online and who they're communicating with. Talk with them about their online activities. Ask them about the people on their buddy list and anyone that they've friended on a social networking or gaming site.
Just be aware of what they're looking at, because they can be like sitting there looking at it and then be with their door closed and their parents walk in and they'll just click it and minimize it. And then you like look at it and they'll be on something totally different and you won't be aware of it. So like sometimes you have to come up to it and look at the bottom, at the toolbar, and see what they're looking at.
Periodically, check the online communities your children visit. Make sure that you are added to your child's friend list so that you can view their profile if it's set to private, as it should be. If you're uncertain whether your child has a profile, do a simple online search. Type your child's name into a search engine like Google or into the search option of the site in question. Supervise the photos and videos your kids post and send. Remember that images can be instantly uploaded from any Internet-enabled device, such as your child's cell phone or gaming device. Webcams should only be used under close parental supervision. Videos should only be sent to trusted friends and family. Never allow a webcam to be used by your child in their bedroom or in private.
With the webcam, the person on the other side of that webcam is actually getting a full view of your home. They can see your child. They can see what's in the background. You never know what's there that's identifiable, that they are taking notice of. So no, I don't recommend use of webcams.
Teach your children how to protect their personal information and the personal information of others. Remind them to think before they post and that there are no takebacks on the Internet.
You never know when something can be passed from one friend to another. So be careful about those things. So it's always important to remember, if you're not willing to do it in the physical world in front of a school assembly, don't do it online.
Instruct your children to use privacy settings to limit who can view their social networking and gaming profiles. Beware that even this does not always ensure true privacy, because friends have access to and could distribute any content from their profile.
Even before you add them, you can still message them, because every time someone tries to add me and I don't know them, or their picture doesn't look familiar to me, I always message them saying, do I know you? Or have I seen you before? And they say, no, I just think you're cool. I'm like, deny.
Remind your children that online friends may not be who they say they are, and that no one can detect a disguised predator. Encourage your children to come to you if anyone makes them feel scared or uncomfortable. Ask for any personal information or suggest meeting them in person.
My name is Alicia Kozakevich. I was abducted by an internet predator. He held me captive for 4 days, and I feel that I was rescued for a reason, to save kids from the same thing happening to them. It can happen to them. This is real. These people exist.
Teach your children not to accept or engage in any online activity that is meant to intimidate, threaten, or harm. Reiterate the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have others do unto you. Report any offensive or dangerous communications to local law enforcement and do not delete the evidence. Review the 4 W's of Internet use with your child. What, where, when, and why. What type of content is appropriate, where Internet use is allowed, and when they can go online, and why you set the rules and their outcomes. In addition to safety rules, protecting kids online requires the use of software tools, better known as parental controls. These tools allow parents to restrict, tailor, or manage Internet content and activity. However, they are not a substitute for parental supervision. Parental controls should be utilized on all Internet-enabled devices, including desktops, laptops, cell phones, PDAs, gaming, and music devices.
You can give children all the rules that you can possibly think of. Don't go to these sites. Don't talk to strangers. But you need parental controls because they can inadvertently come across it. They can be sent an email with a link that looks benign, and you click on it and you see pornography. So parental controls are a necessity.
Set age-appropriate filters to block categories of objectionable content, such as pornography, violence, gambling, and illegal drugs. Remember, however, that filters are not 100% effective and may not stop a determined child from bypassing them. Block peer-to-peer networks. They allow users to connect directly to each other's computers and to retrieve and swap files without a server and with total anonymity. And they are also filled with illegal child pornography. Consider using monitoring software, which can provide a complete record of where your child goes online and with whom they communicate. They can monitor outgoing and incoming communications, and some will even send a periodic report. We recommend that you tell your child that monitoring is in place unless you suspect that they are involved in risky behavior.
So in a way, installing a monitoring tool will actually really trigger a great conversation with your kids. Maybe you want to start off by saying you're going to install this tool because you really care about them. You want to know their online playgrounds as well as their offline playgrounds or the playgrounds around the corner. And I think it's a really good way to start a conversation in general about Internet safety that should be lifelong.
Parents can also review the child's online activity by checking the computer's history file. If you notice that the history has been altered or deleted, consider installing monitoring software and have a discussion with your child about the sites that they have visited.
I got caught 2 times from my parents looking at the history thing. They'd be scrolling through and it'd say like MySpace, Google, freakychicks.com or something like that. And I'd get in trouble.
Time-limiting tools allow parents to manage the amount of time and the times of day that their children are allowed online. Excessive time online, especially at night, may indicate a problem. Remind your child that the Internet is a privilege and not a right. Disallow access to chat rooms. Chat rooms are the playground of today's sexual predators, and they allow for immediate and direct communication between participants. Many of those that are geared towards teens are known for explicit sexual talk and obscene language. Chat rooms also allow users to communicate in real time through webcams and live audio chat.
There's nothing that a parent can do once a child gets online and gets into a chat room or a website or instant message that can prevent being approached by a predator. So I believe that, you know, it has to be proactive instead of reactive.
If I had had even the most basic software that blocked chat rooms, we may have had a different outcome.
Limit your child's instant messaging contacts to a parent-approved buddy list. Periodically, check their buddy list to ensure that it has not been altered. And be aware that many online communities, such as social networking and gaming sites, now have IM and chat features.
You have to watch who your children are talking to. Know who your children are talking to in a one-on-one conversation. We've given parents parental controls that they can actually allow or disallow people to talk to their children through instant messaging.
Major search engines offer child-safe zones and provide safe search options that can block inappropriate content before the filters even get going. You can adjust the search options by going to the Settings feature on the upper right side of the screen. This is an example of a Google image search of the word sex. Using the strict search setting, you can see in the results the images are mostly wholesome. Using the moderate search settings, well, we get some racier images. And finally, a search on sex with the safe search turned off, well, we had to block most of the images. In addition to using parental controls, regularly update the operating system. Install a firewall and an up-to-date antivirus and anti-spyware software. For more information on cybersecurity, see our special features section. There are different types of parental controls. Independent tools, such as NetNanny, SafeEyes, and BeSafe. ISP-provided tools, such as AOL's parental controls. And operating system controls offered by Apple and Microsoft. Parental control features include kid-friendly spaces, sometimes referred to as closed systems or walled gardens. By using these settings, younger children will only be able to access age-appropriate content within the garden walls. The mobile internet allows instant communication anytime, anywhere. Children can receive content, videos, and photos through their cell phones and other portable devices. If you allow your child to have mobile internet access, it is essential to utilize parental controls offered by your mobile carrier.
With regard to rules and tools on your mobile devices, just think of them as no different than a mini little computer or a mini laptop. The tip that they should put the computer or the computer screen in a public place in the house where they could see it is almost worthless when it comes to your kids walking around with mobile devices. I think what parents really have to realize is no matter what computer screen or mobile screen their kids are looking at, that's a real world for them. And they're having real experiences online, they're accessing content, and parents have to just come to the realization that there's a lot of things that their children are doing on mobile devices that they should know about.
All major gaming consoles have integrated parental control tools that allow you to block or restrict chat and audio chat capabilities, choose with whom your children play, and pick the ratings levels appropriate for your child's gaming adventures.
It's very important to limit your profile to people you know. I know with Xbox specifically, you can set up a youth profile or an adult profile, and with a youth profile, it limits your ability to text message or to use the chat features in the games, which is strongly recommended.
It is important to establish a formal internet safety contract with your children about internet use at home and outside the home. Remind them that rules for good behavior don't change just because they're on a computer. Consider posting the agreement near the computer and be willing to sign a parent pledge as well.
We put all these limits on our children. They're not allowed to smoke, they're not allowed to drink, they're not allowed to drive after midnight, and they live with that reasonably and it's accepted. But for some reason, it's frowned upon if we want to check their email or see what they're doing online. That's considered taboo. We're bad parents, we're invading their privacy. It's absolutely no different than sniffing their breath, checking the whites of their eyes, or putting a curfew on them for when they should come in from the party.
Pledge your commitment to implement rules and tools on all internet-enabled devices used by your child. Being proactive with online safety is an act of love that will help keep your children safe. Consider enlisting another parent or friend as your parent buddy. The Buddy Check system is designed to encourage parents to help each other implement and enforce rules and tools and to stay current on internet safety issues.
It's hard being a parent in the 21st century. What parents have to do is keep up, listen, learn, use the tools and resources that are out there and available, because the world is changing fast. The whole world of the wireless device, the internet is no longer tied to wires and a PC sitting on a desk in your living room. It's now in your child's cell phone. It's in the PDA. It's in these other devices. Most importantly, parents need to be smart and knowledgeable and aware and make sure that they empower their children. Children who are talked to about the risks that they face and understand before they happen the potential risks are far less vulnerable.
Finally, report any content or activity that you suspect is illegal or criminal to local law enforcement and to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. For more information, visit our special features section, the accompanying workbook, and our website at enough.org. Let us help you protect your children online.